I'll just blast through these. Clearly, like I mentioned, I was not raised in a Christian home. Um, Part of my journey, I basically, um, music always appealed to me. I'm not saying every genre of music, but rhythmically, it kind of found my place early on. Most kids came home, played sports. I was hitting the drums. So I have a pretty fairly musical family background. My sister is a phenomenal singer. She had a very successful local secular band for a long time. Actually, two of them. Did some videography for her. But there is you can't make it out too well, but that's me and my dad. I was probably 5 or 6, and so you can see somebody was brave enough to buy me a drum set. So somebody knew. I don't know, but I did a little searching. You may actually want to do this sometime. Is Google your name and look up the meaning of your first and last name. I don't have my dad's last name, but my actually my first name I came to find out means belonging to the Lord or of the Lord. And if I kept my dad's name is Shurzy, which translates into music. So I was just blown away. So maybe you can look your name. Not everybody is that profound, but you may find it may really shock you. So yeah, a lot of different things that I pursued, went through, and there's the big year that it all happened for me. I heard the gospel, and I ushered for a while, probably about 6 months, and then lo and behold, there was a split in the worship team, and there was a need for all kinds of stuff. And I said, well, I happen to have drums in my attic, so is that a coincidence? I blew the dust off them, and the rest is history. So, but yeah, I'm originally more percussion, more drums, but I kept going, and I kind of morphed into what I'm doing today, and I've dabbled. I'm not ashamed to say I definitely dabbled with a lot of different instruments, and it inspired me to just do things like this and reach out and do things now. Everything's social, everything's a .com, so really have a lot of fun with doing my tutorials and stuff. So basically for me, I don't know how you guys did it, but I am pretty much self-taught. I wish I took a picture of it. I have a lot of things in my arsenal that I use. I think the funniest one on here is when I say door to door is I was very aggressive early on. Even when I came to this church, I forgot the year we started here, but it was really the first time that I was just playing keyboard to play for other people that led worship, and I became the sound along with the drummer, and that's how it's always been for a long time. So, but me and my camera, I literally have footage of me like taping people. Would you let me tape you play? And they're like, yeah, okay. So I have people at home that I can watch them back, and I've learned chords that way. So I've learned actually a lot on video. But ultimately, like I said, I was put in this environment, and it was kind of, here you go to it. And I learned on the fly a lot of stuff, and it was crazy, it was frustrating, it was hard, but I got through it, and definitely grew as a result of it. So I wanted to point something out, and it's a little odd for a theme, but it seems to be common. And a lot of people that are doing what they do say that they didn't like wake up and deliberately, purposely set out to become this musician person thingy. And it's funny because, you'll see them in an interview and it's like, oh, I never thought I'd be doing this. But really? Well, you do it awesome. You're like the leader of Hillsong, so it struck me as odd and funny at the same time, but I hear it a lot. But we're all at different levels. That's us tonight, and we all learn differently. And I just want to really emphasize that last one is that Contentment, when it comes to this stuff, is your worst enemy. Because if you're happy with where you're at, then you're not allowing yourself to grow, and you're not accepting any more challenges to take you to the next level. And like we said in the beginning, when stuff is dormant, you just sit on it, and then it just wastes away.
That's why us musicians, we're always practicing, we're always looking for that extra note.
Yeah, I told Cynthia before we started, I said, I am a student. I mean, you're looking at, most guys that, do it full time, like they're on a plane, or if they're traveling, they're always something with music and worship and thinking, and, you gotta keep fresh and current and relevant, you have to. And I've heard other stories that, exception to the rule, where God, please teach me to play, and like an hour later they were like, Dino. So,
No.
so we're moving into this. Like I said, I got some stuff I just really felt to bring to you guys. I know it's not as much fun as playing, but we'll get there. This is my challenge to you tonight. Like I said, I didn't really have too much of an intense agenda, other than just kind of extract some of the answers from you guys, where you're at in your journey in life, and what level are you looking to play on? What do you want to see God do in your music, in your musicianship, and how much is it worth to you? What are you willing to do to invest in that craft? I mean, are you so enthralled with the idea of leading worship and on a higher level that you'll take all your tax money and you'll buy an awesome keyboard? I don't know if you'll do that. I'm not telling you to do that, but if you did that, that would be awesome, okay? But I'm a person that did that. I'm a person that said, you know what? I'm not just so I can say, hey, now I can have bragging rights, go big or stay home. But to me, like I said earlier, when I'm in, I'm all in. Because it doesn't make sense because I got kids and a full-time job, and and I'm trying to raise a family and go to church and do all these different things in life, and I really don't have time to waste. It's like, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta do it 100%, 110%. So definitely my challenge to you, just to get you thinking. But now comes some of the crazy but fun stuff. What I want to do is just start taking this apart bit by bit, and I'll do my best to just go through here. All right, so this is what I like to call the dissection portion. It's okay to review, it's okay to go over the fundamentals, because those are the building blocks for what we do. And before you can get up there and tell everybody that I am a friend of God, you should have spent time with the Lord and perfecting your craft and all that good stuff. And that happens with building blocks. So this is where we start to do some surgery. So I want to take a little bit different spin on this. Everybody is, I think, it's painfully obvious that there are vitamins out there. I just want to, like I said, that I'm going to use a little bit different spin. In nutrition, there are different sources that you can get. So the first thing is, whenever you're eating, you're getting nutrients. You can do it through a lot of different means. Eat some carrots, eat an orange or an apple, and have your proteins and all that stuff. That's common, and I will liken this to the music in the next one. But as you go in, like medicinally, and there's different things that can be prescribed that you don't necessarily know about, but they're good for you, and you don't really even care to know about them. You just know that your doctor said to do it, and you know that the food contains it. You don't have to know all the ABCs about it. And that's what the music is like, okay? The music has sub-levels to it too. And, you know, like I said, it's great if we sung in one key in the entire, every song we did, because it would never change. You'd be like, can I have C minor, you know, flat the fifth, whatever, A minor, this and that. Like, it's all correlates to C, you know, so you never have to worry about learning any other key. So you probably get rid of a whole bunch of keys on the keyboard for that reason, but that's definitely not realistic. But in music, there are several representations of a single movement. So this, you know, the root movement that you learn, there are 12 keys in all. So everybody has a different, like, fingered position. So you have to become accustomed to that movement. It's not like everything is a nice, safe, all white key, C, natural position. You know, oh yeah, you can do that all day, great. You know, but it's not like that. When you want to get up in levels in music, you have to learn that it's positional. And the biggest challenge of all is taking all the chord types and substitutions, and just like those vitamins, you start out with common food, but then what you do is you have sub-levels that belong to the music. There's all different variations of the chords, just like there's all different variations of vitamins and different means of like obtaining that nutrition. Like, you follow me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of I believe God just helped me to get that train of thought on it, because I actually went to a holistic doctor. Sherry recommended to me. And I went, you know, I had my different things that I wanted to ask her, and she did some of her tests and all these things. And but like, she started, you know, reading back some of my, you know, the signatures of how, like, my body was responding, and like in her prescriptions to me, and she was reading off stuff like, you know, she was getting deep, like it was like getting into, like, you know, sea level. It was like, you know, she's coming at me with vitamins and stuff and natural things that I never even heard, and it just kind of spurred this on to me, because sometimes music is so intimidating that you wonder, you know, how can I even get from the basics, you know, and then let alone doing all this other intense stuff that it requires me to do when I want to get to that level. So hopefully that makes a little sense to you. But basically, some of the fundamentals, and the red markers there is obviously middle C, and middle C is a portion where, depending on the range of this, it's good here because we have different ranges of keyboard. I don't think we have any 88s here, but there is the ultimate Cadillac full-size keyboard, and like I said, when I invested, I went right to an 88 weighted key workstation. It was like way over my head, but I had to grow into it. So, but nonetheless, if you don't understand, if you're ever shopping for a keyboard, there are keyboard ranges. So, you know, once you know your notes, you can clearly see that they repeat themselves, no matter what the range is. So, but there's 49, 61, 76, and like I said, the big one, the biggest range available is 88. Okay? Everybody good with that? All right. I think Jan has a 61. So, I like seeing all the Yamahas set up here. All right. So, weighted or spring-loaded? Is that one weighted?
No, they're all
Okay.
spring-loaded.
All right, so everybody, with the exception of this house piano, the difference is basically the trigger action and the amount of weight in the keys. So I went out, like I said, I bought an 88 key weighted hammer action. That's what it is, and basically it was a lot. And you know, looking back, would I make the same investment? Probably not so much, because then I ended up downsizing and getting a spring-loaded 76 keyboard. Mainly because I wanted to play with more speed, because I feel like, you know, the weighted keys just kind of, they slowed me down. It was hard to play the tempo in which we were playing. So, but you decide ultimately. So try before you buy, okay? Giving you a little ammunition if you're so inclined. All right, so what we'll do is, looking at these keys, we'll begin with the key notes. I'll jump in here with you guys. Okay, so I'm not asking anybody to start in middle C, I'm just asking you to find C on the keyboard. Okay, so one thing that will help you, Janet, is when you look at the keyboard and you see the black notes, they're in groups of 2 and 3. So every time you see a group of 2 and you go down a half step, okay, it's always going to be C.
C, C,
Okay?
C, C.
So, I think,
Okay.
is that,
C?
Yeah.
speaking of C, if you want to look at my hand there, over here, you catch that? Okay? So, now the groups of 2 and 3, 2 and 3, and so on, they're all repetitive, and that's the cool thing about the music scale is you can learn to kind of get out of the idea that this is just, you know, a big pile of keys and you don't know how to decipher them or split them apart. The best place to start is probably the most simple, is that just look at those as groups, okay? And every time you see a group of 2, just go down, see my finger, it's called a half step down, and find the C. Why don't you do that right now? Okay, and obviously you have the same tone. We're all in tune.
Okay.
So, and it doesn't matter wherever you want to select. If you select a higher tone, a C up the keyboard in range, that's fine. I mean, I'm not grading you guys on this, so. And that's
Cynthia,
a good
Do
indicator.
you want the synth sound off of that? Just play the piano?
Yeah,
Just take the dual off it.
there's no dual.
Yeah. Here.
So it's a good indicator now of where you start at the lowest group
Now you're
of 2
clear.
and find the C,
Okay.
okay? And then what you do is find the C all the way the rest up the board. So, and then it gives you a good sense for what is considered an octave,
Oh,
okay?
right.
So every time you hit a higher toned C,
This
you're-
way
you're-
goes
yeah,
higher.
you're going up 8 in the scale, okay? It's not 8 individual notes, it's 8 in the C major scale, okay? So if you were to count individually by half steps, it would be much more, so. But basically, yeah, you're going C, C again, and then all the way up, so. Okay. Awesome.
That was right.
There you go. There you
You got it.
Yay, Janet!
That should have worn my contacts with
Yes.
my reading glasses.
I know.
can't see too well.
I wish I could add a flood for you. I can put a flood right on there. Okay, so basically, to get a little bit deeper and just to dissect this, it takes, for me, I know it helped a lot when I'm I love things spelled out. I'm a very, mechanically, like it's like, I gotta see every part, how it works intricately. So I like how this, picture, it spells it out, and it's all in half steps. So what the description here, Janet, is basically, when you're looking at that C note right below the group of 2, basically, if this is what I consider to be directionally, when you move to the right, you're actually climbing. And I say you're climbing because you're allowing your tones to get higher. Okay, the tones are actually increasing and the pitch is getting higher. So directionally, if you're going right, when you get to the black note that's just beyond the C, you see the little B and it looks like a number sign beside that?
Yeah.
Okay, so what that is,
Sharper.
you know, to add, to make things even more confusing, basically, you have to realize that the black note is, it's nothing more than what I like to call a dual meaning, okay? And it's only spelled out that way because of direction. If you're climbing, okay, if you're ascending up the keyboard, you'll always consider that a sharp. And a sharp is, it's symbolized by the number sign,
Oh, the
if you
number
will.
sign.
Yep.
Flat
And,
is the-
and actually, correct. So if you reverse that, then you're making everything lower tone and flat, okay? So just kind of spelling out some direction for you. But if you want, why don't we all just pick the C and then climb up in half steps? And you guys could just, you know, take whatever range you want. So symbols and, like I said, the keys based on the direction more or less have a dual meaning. You know, the flat tire versus the air in the tire, it's directional, okay? So you'll see two symbols on one key. Don't let it blow you away. It just means that it's one or the other, okay? So it can musically, you're allowed to give it a dual meaning, okay? Because it's a pitch, and a pitch is allowed to be spelled out how you choose to spell it out when you're writing music, okay? So myself, I go around and I say, I like to play in the key of E flat, where someone else might say, I like to play in the key of D sharp. Well, which is it? E flat or is it D sharp? Well, a guitarist might say, I'm really comfortable because I grew up around D sharp. Good for you, okay? I like E flat, and that's just the world that I live in, and ultimately you can decide. What matters is on Sunday morning, what's coming out is coming out. So I think we get the point. And so you can see some of the
It
symbols
depends
on
on your key signature at the left of your music staff. You have flats.
there. Yeah,
You're calling all of your notes flats, and you're going down G to G flat, or if it has sharps in there, all of your notes, we call it G, then we call it G sharp when it's up.
so it might sound pretty, I know it's kind of clumsy to you, but it's, you know, musically, individually, it becomes a preference. So, and then there are people that just, they just know it so well that it doesn't matter. They just start playing.
And then there's the other people who don't know a thing about it, and just can play and play and play. It's like, how do you do that? It's like, how, they do it by ear.
Yeah.
That was my brother. He could
Yeah.
play humble.
Pretty much, so, and again, tonight, you know, if there's something I can't answer for you, I'll just tell you I don't know. That's the most anointed answer I can give you.
That's okay with me.
Yeah. So a very fancy word that I don't use a lot is called an interval, and basically it's the amount of space. It's the movement, again, in which you're moving about on the keyboard directionally, okay? So, and this symbol is showing you that when you press, you have the two black keys. So just below that second black key is the key of E, okay, or E note. It's E note. And when it's climbing, you notice how it's jumping over a white key to get to the next one? Is because when you do that, you're not going directly to the next key, you're actually skipping a key and it becomes a whole step. That's what they describe it as a step. So it's either gonna be a half step or a whole step, okay? So there's a lot of things that those tie into, but all you need to know right now is directionally, you skipped a key, so therefore you went and you did a whole step, okay?